This is Lake Agawam, the jewel of Southampton. A hypoxic soup of toxic blue-green algae, the second most polluted lake in the state of New York. How did this happen to what was once a pristine freshwater lake carved by glacial meltwater during the Ice Age? In a sense, Lake Agawam's original beauty was its downfall. English settlers were drawn to the lake nearly 4 centuries ago, and development began. A village grew. A summer colony was established. Agawam was the centerpiece, offering the recreational delights of boating, swimming, and fishing. Captain Pyrrhus Concert provided languid aquatic transportation from the village center to the beach. But as the population grew, the jewel of Southampton began to tarnish. Human habitation brought with it landscaping and gardening and septic systems. Thousands and thousands of septic systems throughout the Agawam watershed.
The watershed of Lake Agawam extends well north of Sunrise Highway. Thousands of homes contributing to the groundwater that then seeps slowly into Lake Agawam.
Every rainstorm, every flush of a toilet launched a time bomb of nitrogen and phosphorus from fertilizers and waste that leached into the soil. Then the groundwater, which carried the perfect fuel for blue-green algae inexorably into the lake.
These blue-green algae contain a toxin called microcystin. That's a gastrointestinal toxin, it's a known carcinogen, and it's very, very dangerous. Not just dangerous to things in the lake either, of course you wouldn't want to swim in that, but we know when you get a wind like you have today, that water can get aerosolized, and people around the lake can be exposed to that toxin.
For the last 2 decades, efforts to reverse the decline of the lake have been overwhelmed by the onslaught from septic systems, fertilizers, pesticides, and stormwater pathogens. Time for a new battle plan.
Something had to be done. We couldn't let the situation deteriorate.
Lakeside resident John Paulson chairs the Lake Agawam Conservancy, the private arm of a new public-private partnership. Village residents and government agencies working hand in hand with a singular mission: the restoration of Lake Agawam and the watershed's ecosystem.
This lake belongs to everybody. It's the jewel of the Southampton village. And we wanted to bring it to a place where you can use it for recreational purposes, for paddleboarding, for sailing, for rowing, and ultimately for swimming.
I think the level of organization now around the lake is unprecedented and nothing like I've ever seen in more than 20 years in studying the lake. The Lake Agawam Conservancy is playing a leadership role in bringing everyone around the lake together. But importantly, it's not just them. They're working very closely with the village, with the town, and even the state and the DEC.
This is actually not a new problem in Lake Agawam. It's gone on for years, but it is much worse than it has ever been.
It's basically the recipient of all the insults that human development hurls at it all the time. If you reduce the stressors on this particular lake and other lakes there, nature has a wonderful way of healing itself. The Conservancy has done a wonderful job so far as educating people on reducing the nutrient load that goes into the lake.
The Conservancy has already funded a number of important first steps in a comprehensive remediation plan designed by Dr. Christopher Gobler, Chair of Coastal Ecology and Conservation at Stony Brook University. The installation of a monitor buoy that continuously transmits water quality data to the Gobler Lab. A bioswale at the southern end of the lake to intercept stormwater runoff and pollutants. Seminars for landscapers and homeowners on best landscaping practices to produce beautiful lawns and gardens without chemical fertilizers and pesticides.
How do you get away from the use of chemicals? The thing I learned is that you can. You can absolutely have a great landscape without chemicals.
The installation of 42 bubblers to oxygenate the water and prevent stagnation. The harvesting of water lily overgrowth to remove biomass and improve water circulation. A groundwater flow study for the installation of a permeable reactive barrier.
The idea of the permeable reactive barrier is to put in the ground a barrier that goes down, it may be dozens of feet or even more than that, to intercept that groundwater before it enters the lake. There are short-term management items we're taking on, things like an ultrasonic device to disrupt the blue-green algae, hydrogen peroxide to actually get rid of the blue-green algae, at least in the short term. But then there's other more longer-term efforts that we really must make to address the root cause of the nitrogen and phosphorus that's entering the lake. things like dredging the lake to get the sediments out that contain so much phosphorus and nitrogen, and addressing the septic systems around the lake.
It's very important to upgrade septic systems in the watershed because all of the septic systems are actually the reason why the lake has deteriorated so much over time. And so if you were to apply for a rebate or a grant award that we have going through the town and also Suffolk County and the state, you could replace your septic system at virtually no cost. And that would be a huge benefit to this lake and the environment as a whole.
Lake Agawam is a microcosm of a much larger global problem of environmental degradation. Stressed water bodies, contaminated groundwater. Agawam's restoration will not only help preserve our community, it will show others the way forward to a healthier, more beautiful environment.
Clean water is not just an important topic for Southampton Village. It's actually something that's important throughout the East End of Long Island, across New York State, and the country for that matter.
The identity of Southampton is so linked to the water that anybody who lives here or spends time here recognizes that. So that is of the utmost importance, is to understand that the water quality is linked to our own health and well-being.
We now have everyone lined up together, the village, the town, the state, and now the Conservancy, all getting behind this plan, but the plan is going to need support.
Everybody in the Southampton Village is responsible for the condition of the lake. By each of us taking responsibility to use bio-friendly landscaping practices and ultimately to upgrade the septic systems, we are all part of the solution to improve Lake Agawam.
If we're able to enact all aspects of the Harmful Algal Bloom Action Plan, I'm going to get ready to go swimming in Lake Agawam. Because I really do think once we do things like dredge the lake, upgrade the septics, put in the permeable active barrier, it's going to change the complete character of the lake from one that's blue-green and people are afraid of to, I really think, a lake that people can recreate in the future.